I can't get enough of them.
Yeah.
It's gonna be freaking awesome.
Yes, so we're excited. We hope you're excited.
Yeah.
Snyder Cut is here.
We're back again this week discussing the future and the past and currently what's happening in the DC universe.
And
it's hot.
Yes, it's hot as we are celebrating the fact that the Snyder Cut
Premiered on HBO Max. HBO Me. It's a culmination of things since 2013. Started with Man of Steel.
For people that are unaware of what the Snyder Cut is, because a lot of people think it's just the same film that came out in theaters with like a little bit of extra footage. That's not it at all. When Joss Whedon had to take over, I think he only used 10% of Zack Snyder's footage. People don't realize that because when they heard recently Zack Snyder did some reshoots, he only did how many? It was like
4 minutes.
4 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
However, that's additional to the entire film that he already shot that wasn't put in theaters. So that is so important to keep in mind. Mm-hmm. So it's not the same movie at all. So just get ready for a whole new experience.
The Snyder Cut.
I know we'll be watching the 4-hour epic. The conversation around the film is important, and it really does stem from this film and the beginning of the DC revolution that they tried to do. It doesn't necessarily work every time for the DC film. I really think Man of Steel is what set off the tone. I rewatched Zack Snyder's Man of Steel recently again, and it really holds up. It was exactly what fans needed for a Superman film.
The beginning of the Snyderverse. That also led into the multiverse that we're dealing with now in the DCEU.
It was dark and gritty, and I think that that's what you need for a Superman film because his life isn't that perfect. Everyone thinks that, but they really did in Smallville try to show that like growing up with those powers and feeling like an alien is incredibly difficult.
He was grounded.
Right, and then I think Zack Snyder just really went with that and took it so much further, which is why I love Man of Steel so much. And also you have Michael Shannon as Zod.
Right.
Which is the best.
I will find him.
Yes, that is one of my favorite moments ever.
It's beyond cult. It's actually classic. Christopher Nolan was coming out of The Dark Knight Rises, and Warner Brothers was looking for another Superman flick. And maybe in some alternate universe, Christian Bale's Batman could have been with Henry Cavill's Superman, but
I've always wondered that.
They rebooted, and I think they just went for, again, a different tale entirely than Man of Steel. It was not really a sequel. It was more like Justice League 0.5.
Man of Steel does feel like it's almost in the Christopher Nolan universe.
Feels very
DC.
Christopher Nolan.
Yes, it wouldn't have been shocking if they had said the next film they were doing was having Christian Bale's Batman in a
Dark
Superman
Knight 4.
film. So.
Yeah, or Superman with Christian Bale.
Yeah.
But they went a different route.
The Frank Miller Bruce Wayne.
Yes. The brawler. The big, hulking, weary, done it for 20 years.
Yes.
Robin's dead.
The average person that doesn't know that there's different eras of Batman and things like that. I don't know if when they went and saw the film, if they got Ben Affleck's Batman had this long history of
this
just
long, arduous career.
Yeah.
The Batman.
Yes, and that's where he was in that point in his life.
Yeah,
and
he even had bullet holes in his suit, scratches, alcoholic with a pill problem, and he sleeps around and just goes through all his wine. Wayne Manor is burnt down, and he just lives a different life entirely, but he is tired.
Personally had some issues with Batman vs. Superman, but then
there's an ultimate cut.
There's the ultimate cut, which I find is a lot better. It kind of, to me, still feels like they wanted to rush a Batman Superman movie, but I'm not like, oh god, it's awful. No.
What Warner Brothers took out, Zack adds right back in. He said the only movie that he never made a different cut of was Man of Steel. He added every single thing into there.
He didn't need to. It's so good.
I know.
If you haven't seen Man of Steel in a long time, rewatch it. Especially now. Maybe you watch the Snyder Cut and you're like, oh man, I'm like so on this kick.
Yes.
Watch Man of Steel again.
Bone up.
Yeah, if you weren't sure about it the first time, give it a second viewing. It really is something special and an achievement.
It started the whole DCEU.
I think there have been some great moments. I think there have been some disappointments.
Yeah. We'll get through these disappointments and joys today.
So you go from Man of Steel And then you go to Batman vs. Superman.
Which was supposed to be a sequel to Man of Steel, but
Right. Well,
it was also Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. They were so excited to make Batman vs. Superman.
I just don't feel like we're done yet with Henry Cavill's Superman.
He's underutilized. I mean, they killed him in BVS and he's barely around for Justice League.
He, to me, really is the closest depiction of Superman.
This kind of made him an alien.
Yeah, now if only we get a Brainiac movie.
Yeah, please, just give us Man of Steel too.
Yes, please. That's like another example of studios kind of being a little hesitant with risks because Man of Steel, yes, it was dark
Warner
and gritty,
Brothers.
which was, great. Like a lot of people did love that. Some people didn't. But that was a reason why I think Warner Brothers jumped the gun on they went straight to Batman vs. Superman and not doing a Man of Steel sequel.
Or Man of Tomorrow or whatever a Man
Right.
of Steel sequel could have been.
Right, which is kind of great now that we're seeing the Zack Snyder cut for Justice League because there's not a ton of studio involvement in it. So we get to see what he can do
Right.
and not be bothered by people giving their opinions that don't really understand. Because then you have a film like Joker that comes out that is the darkest.
Yeah, it's like DC Black Label kind of thing.
Right, and then it winds up getting nominated for Oscars.
And making $1 billion.
Yeah, so clearly that's what people want. The fans want that, which is a huge reason why the Snyder Cut got made to begin with.
Yeah, he always said in the beginning, unite the 7. And now we'll see who the final 7th one is. And it's all coming together into this 4-hour masterpiece.
This is the final time, really, that all those characters will be on screen together.
Right. Batfleck is kind of retired, except for he's going to an HBO Max show. AT&T now owns Warner Media, as it's called now, and they own DC and a whole lot of other stuff. The DC universe is more of like a pastiche of stuff, mishmash, whereas Marvel went the route of a linear narrative. Some were good, some were wrong. Realistic, gritty, grounded, dark. The desaturated color kind of works with that, with this, the Snyderverse or Zack Snyder style.
And then does use like the punched out primary colors when necessary. Like in Watchmen, I think that was a great contrast.
Yeah. It's almost like this dark Technicolor thing.
That's a great way to kind of tell the story as well, because you've got these superheroes who show the public like they've got it under control and they're bright and primary, yet the world is actually very dark, very corrupt, lots of crime, no one's happy. So I love that Zack Snyder uses color as well, so specifically.
DC is finally experimenting with blending their television and film worlds into a sort of multiverse. I feel like it was popularized by Sony's picture that they made about Spider-Man.
Yeah, talk about all these DC films, and the one that really thought outside the box was Into the Spider-Verse.
Right, Marvel's Into the Spider-Verse.
And I think that the multiverse is a huge turn in what we're seeing. Someone in the room listening to the fans.
Finally.
That's why the Snyder Cut should just be like, we're releasing it.
Big fans like me.
Yes, and then the multiverse, which is something that I don't think they would have come up with unless fans kept throwing that idea out there.
The idea of like 2 different Flashes, 2 different Batman.
Yeah, because that's how comics work in general too. There's
they all go together.
Versions.
Everybody in the DC universe pretty much knows each other, so it's about time. Aquaman, with Zack Snyder producing, only lent more to the story behind Arthur Curry or Aquaman.
It's easy to poke fun at Aquaman because he's not like the coolest one, but they wound up making Aquaman cool and like a badass.
Right.
Jason Momoa, like no one's gonna mess with him. So
it's not any blonde fish
mermaid,
talking to.
Yeah, no.
I mean, he could still talk to fish, but it's not like Entourage with James Cameron. Aquaman.
Did Amber Heard officially get cut out of the second one?
Yeah. So changes have happened. Amber Heard has been cut because of the controversy surrounding her and Johnny Depp.
Which I'm thrilled of, because I honestly don't think she added anything to Aquaman.
Mira.
I think her acting is the weakest part of the film.
Aquaman.
And I don't think Aquaman's a perfect film either, but I think they really rocked it in most ways. Jason Momoa is the perfect Aquaman, so no matter how you pick apart that film, you're still happy with it because he's the perfect Aquaman. She, however, adds nothing in my opinion, and I think I couldn't wait till she got off the screen while watching it. So I'm thrilled that they are recasting her, or they're just cutting her out.
I don't think they're recasting.
Okay, so they might just cut her out then.
Yeah, she will not be in Aquaman 2.
No.
She is
in the Snyder Cut.
She is in the Snyder Cut, so we get to see her, and finally Willem Dafoe.
Yes.
And General Swanwick.
Yes.
Finally gets to be Martian Manhunter.
Yes.
With Batman v Superman, you got
Yes.
an introduction to all the heroes, and then Suicide Squad, you kind of got an introduction to the villains of the universe.
Yeah.
But now, with James Gunn's The Suicide Squad,
they're using James Gunn, who directed Guardians of the Galaxy, to do Suicide Squad, and I am so grateful.
what a good choice.
Yes, it's a great choice, because I really just wanted a different view of the Suicide Squad than what we got. And
Joker was never in the Suicide Squad. They just added that for David Ayer's version.
Right.
Usually it's like a ragtag team. It's going to be great. Every single person you've heard of and then some.
Yeah.
Polka Dot Man, King Shark.
The future is bright and creatively interesting for the DC universe.
J.J. Abrams doing a Justice League Dark.
Yes.
Like, he's making it expand as well. Introducing characters like Constantine, which is a reboot of the character.
Yeah.
Plus Zatanna.
And I guarantee they wouldn't have even thought of doing any of that if it wasn't for Zack Snyder.
It's been a long journey.
Yes, and I'm so excited about the Snyder Cut just because I remember going to see Justice League, Joss Whedon's version, in theaters by myself.
Oh.
And I
That hurt.
left the theater just thinking to myself, what did I just watch? Like, what was that? Like, it just didn't make any sense to me.
It was hacked up.
Yes.
It was a
and it was
failure.
a shame because they're characters that people love.
And I'm a fan of Justice League. Right, we're both fans of Justice League.
Yeah.
We wanted to see it succeed.
Yes.
Now we will.
Yes, we will finally.
We win.
Yes, we win.
And you can watch it now.
Yes.
Justice League is out. Watch it.
Yes.
He's putting out a black and white version called Justice is Gray.
Yes.
This will be in theaters. It's coming to 4K and Blu-ray.
Yes.
It's fandom at its craziest because we are rabid, and she even got me a t-shirt. She donated to suicide prevention by buying this limited edition t-shirt.
People like to go on and on and on about how fans got to change Sonic the Hedgehog, the way he looked. But, like, yes, and that's great. But, like, this is such a game changer.
Without a doubt, the greatest redemption tale that any fandom has ever had.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect way to put it. You'll see a lot more of Cyborg and Ray Fisher because Joss Whedon cut him out tremendously.
Yes. Zack Snyder said that Cyborg was the heart of the story.
Yes.
And we finally get to see that, and Flash gets to have a girlfriend. More about seeing his dad in jail who was wrongfully
it's the
accused of his mother's death.
Yes, and what's so great about the DC characters is that they're filled with so much depth and so much character development and backstory, and that's what Zack Snyder wanted to show. And Joss Whedon cut out any type of backstory, any type of character development. It felt like he thought, no one cares as long as there's action. And
he colorized it a little bit differently, added a red sky.
Yeah.
Made it all like, haha. It all comes down to this moment to finish an era and close a chapter to the Snyder DC universe. They give him $40 million to do pickups. He only filmed about 5 minutes, but it was worth it. It explains more about the nightmare sequence. It delves into Joker's interaction with Batman in the future. And as Zack Snyder has told, this ends in a cliffhanger. This truly is part 1, but it's his true vision.
Yes.
It's the vision of an auteur, and we're big fans.
Yes.
We can't wait to see what comes next.
Yes, so maybe after this, if everyone's, keeping their voices heard, we'll get the second, maybe at least a sequel. That would be nice.
And Zack Snyder has stated that this will be his last DC film. Who knows if they can coerce him back to making this trilogy. And we'll see sequels down the pipeline. Aquaman 2 is coming out by James Wan, as well as a spin-off horror series about the trench monsters from Aquaman. Artists, directors deserve to be heard.
Yes, and especially with someone, too, that treats all of his actors and stories with so much respect.
Yes.
That's a huge deal.
Yeah, everybody who's ever worked with him, especially on the set of Justice League, has nothing but praise for him.
I know, and it's actually kind of I don't want to say funny, but it is kind of funny to see the difference in the actors' faces on set once Zack left, and everyone is kind of looking miserable.
Yeah. Ray Fisher has even come out to say that there's inappropriate behavior on set. A lot is changing, and I think they're just figuring their stuff out for now.
I know he's more of a DC guy, but I personally equally like both Marvel and DC. And I would just say to those out there that only are Marvel people, I truly believe that these characters haven't been truly represented in the proper way until recently. I do feel that the Nolan Dark Knight franchise is an exception. Batman is a specific case where everyone just loves Batman regardless.
Yeah.
So I'm more specifically talking about the other DC characters that are less cared about in a generic sense.
Yeah, there's characters that don't get enough love.
And that is why. I really think there's so much more to dive into, and I think we're just touching the surface of it.
Yes, DC was the first. We're going to see a lot more projects in the future on HBO Max that really fills in the gaps and gets this whole universe built up, so more people can become fans like us.
And even I thought to myself when I heard that they were doing Batman again with Robert Pattinson, and this is nothing against Robert Pattinson. Initially, I was like, oh my god, another new Batman. But then I saw the trailer and I was like, I'm so ready for this movie. It's not even funny. So yeah, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, Batman's back in detective mode.
Yeah, I love
Matt Reeves is going to kill it. He did the
Yes.
Planet of the Apes trilogy.
Yes.
He's doing a new Batman trilogy.
And Paul Dano as the Riddler.
Whew. Colin Farrell as the Penguin. All sorts of makeup on. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman.
Yeah, I think it looks really cool. It looks really cool.
Yeah, we'll finally get an introduction to Andy Serkis as Alfred.
Yes!
Yeah. And Peter Sarsgaard is in it as a secret character. So
Two-Face? Or is that
yes.
incorrect? Okay.
Yeah. He might be the district attorney. Check back on the channel for more updates from Nerdy Film Girl. Thank you for having me on this episode. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, and thank you for joining me.
And we'll see you soon.
Yes, we'll see you soon.
Peace out.
Bye. Let's talk about all these DC films and the multiverse of what the hell was it called?